The first time I saw the alien queen in person, I almost forgot how to breathe. Her presence was monumental, a combination of beauty and terror woven into one impossibly regal form. Queen Lysara of the Zyrak Dominion was not just a ruler. She was a living force of nature. Her towering frame shimmered with an iridescent carapace, eyes like molten silver scanning the room with the precision of a predator and the gravitas of centuries. Every step she took resonated, not with sound, but with gravity, a quiet force that pulled the air around her into reverence. I had been summoned to the royal hall under pretext of observation, though I quickly understood that nothing about this visit would be routine. I was a human, fragile, soft, and utterly mortal by Zyrak standards. Yet here I stood, in a chamber suspended above a lake of liquid crystal, and every Zyrak guard, all 12 of them, towered over me with wings folded, mandibles clattering in anticipation. Queen Lysara's voice finally cut the silence, smooth as obsidian and impossible to ignore. "Human," she said, the word carrying centuries of weight. "You are far from your home world. Why?" I swallowed, my voice barely more than a whisper. I was sent to establish communication. Your Majesty, I come in peace." Her gaze, sharp enough to carve stone, lingered on me, as if evaluating whether my heart was true or deceitful. I could feel the weight of her judgment, the pressure of a species' entire legacy resting on her shoulders, and somehow, inexplicably, upon mine. She inclined her head slightly. "Peace," she repeated. "You humans claim many things, yet history shows a penchant for chaos. And yet you survived this long. It was a test. I knew it then, and yet I didn't flinch. Somehow, instinctively, I met her gaze. Because we adapt," I said. "And sometimes we hope." A silence stretched. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed, low, resonant, and utterly alien. The sound shook the crystalline walls, but it was not malicious. It was curious, intrigued. "You are bold human," she said. "Bold or foolish, perhaps both." The unthinkable arrival. Weeks passed. I remained in the Dominion's orbiting palace, a delicate envoy in an ocean of alien sophistication. I learned their language, a complex symphony of clicks, hums, and vibrations, and even their rituals, which were incomprehensible at first, a dance of light and shadow, of pheromones and telepathic pulses. I observed the Queen's court, saw her daughters, the royal princesses, glide through corridors like living starlight, and began to understand the magnitude of the empire Lysara ruled. Then it happened. The transmission from the Zyrak Medical Council was urgent, its tone shaking even their usually stoic announcer. "Queen Lysara requests your presence immediately. It is the matter of life, lineage, and consequence." I followed the hovering guides into the central chamber, heart hammering in my chest. There, before a gathering of the royal family, stood Lysara. But she was not alone. A small figure, swaddled in ceremonial silk, floated between her and her daughters. The child's eyes were closed, its skin a translucent silver, tiny wings folded delicately along its back. I froze. Lysara's multifaceted eyes widened, and I watched the slow, impossible unraveling of her composure. "Is that my grandchild?" she whispered. The entire chamber trembled. Guards and attendants froze mid-step, as if even movement might disturb the gravity of this revelation. The child, too small to speak, lifted a hand, and a faint pulse of bioluminescence rippled along its skin. I felt the room pivot in on itself. A grandchild, Lysara, who had reigned for decades, had seen alliances rise and fall, wars ignite and die out, stare at me as if I had just shifted the axis of her universe. I don't understand, she murmured. Her voice cracked, not with fear, but with disbelief, hope, and a dimension of vulnerability I had never imagined possible in such a figure. I swallowed hard. Your Majesty, I began cautiously, the child it is of your bloodline, through means unforeseen. Her gaze pierced me. Explain, she demanded, every word vibrating through the crystal walls. The shocking revelation. It had begun months earlier, during a covert expedition on a derelict Zyrak research station. I had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a containment chamber abandoned and humming with dormant energy. In it was a device ancient and alien, capable of manipulating genetic resonance. I had touched it. The hum had resonated with my own DNA. I had thought it nothing more than a curiosity. I had been wrong. The device had linked me to the Zyrak royal lineage in a way no human could comprehend. Unwittingly, I became a vessel, a bridge between species, carrying potential life that could awaken the dormant legacy of Lysara's bloodline. The child she now gazed upon was proof, a fusion of human resilience and Zyrak essence, a being whose existence defied expectation, protocol, and even reason. The child, it is mine, she said finally, trembling. How can this be? You touched the resonance chamber, I said. It aligned with your genetic imprint. I did nothing intentionally, but the bond exists. This child is connected to you, Queen Lysara, through me. Her wings twitched involuntarily, a subtle ripple of panic or shock. This was never to happen, she whispered, eyes wide and luminescent. Lineage is sacred. Protocols are clear. Yet she took a deep breath, and in that breath, the enormity of centuries pressed upon me. Yet here it is. The next days were a storm. Lysara convened a council unlike any in living memory, gathering ministers, priests, and the eldest daughters. There was debate, heated and relentless. Was the child a threat, a miracle, a prophecy? The Zyrak Dominion, a civilization built on rigid law and careful heredity, trembled with uncertainty. I stayed close to the Queen, offering what counsel I could, though I knew little protocol. I only knew the child's existence was both miracle and burden. The air around us pulsed with tension and fear, yet under it all lay a fragile thread of hope. One night, Lysara summoned me alone. The chamber overlooked a luminescent sea of orbiting stars. Human, she said softly, voice weary, do you understand what this means? My legacy, my family, everything hangs in balance. One wrong move, and the Dominion could fracture. And yet, her gaze softened in a way I had never seen. And yet, I feel love for this child, for the life it represents. I nodded, words failing me. In that moment, I realized that history, empires, wars, legacies, meant little compared to the fragile miracle of life. The grandchild's bond. Weeks turned into months. The child thrived. Its connection to both human and Zyrak DNA manifested in incredible ways. A glow that mirrored emotion, a voice capable of communicating across species without words, even a resonance that calmed conflict among the Queen's Council. Lasara became protected beyond reason, a force I had never seen in battle or diplomacy. She held the child, sang to it in tones that shook the crystal walls, and even taught it the language of the stars. The court watched in awe. I watched in awe, and slowly, the impossible truth settled over us. The Dominion's future had changed, and not for destruction, but for unity, the challenge of the outside world. But not all welcomed this miracle. Political rivals saw opportunity in the Queen's distraction. Rumors of a human-linked heir spread, threatening to ignite unrest. Threats were whispered in hidden corridors. Assassins struck at the edges of the palace. And then came the ultimatum. A neighboring empire demanded the child be handed over, citing ancient pacts and supposed imperial contamination. Lasara, radiant with fury, prepared for war. Her daughters, once poised and serene, became fierce warriors, defending the child with every fiber of their being. I stood beside her, a human among gods, holding the child's tiny hand as the first lines of battle formed in orbit. It was a night of fire and light. The Dominion's fleet clashed with the enemy, crystalline beams cutting through the darkness of space. And yet, even in the chaos, the child's resonance pulsed, calming the rage of soldiers, healing wounds, guiding the fleet with an uncanny awareness of strategy. When the battle ended victorious, though with scars, Lasara finally breathed, exhausted and triumphant. She cradled the child, tears shimmering in her molten eyes. "We have endured," she whispered. "We will endure, because of you and because of hope, acceptance and legacy." The months that followed were transformative. The Dominion adapted to the child's presence. Protocols were rewritten. Stories were sung of the miraculous human-human Zyrak connection. Lasara no longer feared the future. She embraced it. One evening, as I watched her rock the child beneath a cascade of starlight, she turned to me. "You have changed everything," she said softly. "Not by power, not by force, but by presence, by courage, by choice. You have given me my grandchild, and in doing so, given life to hope itself." I smiled faintly. It was never about giving, Your Majesty. It was about protecting. And sometimes miracles happen. She leaned back, wings folding around her like a protective mantle. "Then let this be our legacy," she murmured. "A bridge between species, a light in the dark, and a reminder that love, in any form, transcends all." The child stirred, small fingers curling around mine. Its glow pulsed gently, and for the first time I felt that I wasn't just a witness. I was part of history, part of a family, part of the future. Queen Lasara stared once more, her eyes wide, tears gleaming in molten silver. "Yes," she whispered, "it is my grandchild." And in that moment, the Dominion itself seemed to pause, to recognize a new era had dawned, one of unity, courage, and hope born from the most unexpected of places, a human heart.